Okay, so today we're gonna go ahead and talk about seven things you need to need before you fill out the FAFSA. My name is Veronica Medina, and I represent the Office of Financial Aid and Scholarship. Okay, so the first thing you must have when completing your FAFSA is you must create an FSA ID. An FSA ID would be you would go to the website for FSA Federal Student Aid and create an FSA ID user and password. This is going to be for each individual. So if you are a dependent student, you must also include an FSA ID, apply for an FSA ID for your parent that will be signing your FAFSA. This is going to be your authentic signature when you actually complete the FAFSA and submit it online. Each student and parent should have their own password and user ID. Please save this password and user ID in a safe place, since this will be your now new identification number, so that every year when you renew your FAFSA, you will be able to sign your FAFSA and submit it with this ID. It is very easy to lose it. So this has happened to me personally. So please just save it, create something that you will remember at the same time that is going to be strong enough for you to be using it and be safe with it. It does take about 3 days for you to get your confirmed FSA ID, just because it does have to first go through verifications and processing so that it could identify you as a person. So make sure you do save it for you and save it for your parent. It's very easy for you to confuse both passwords and users ID, so please save them knowing which one belongs to the student and which one actually belongs to the parent. Anyone who plans to fill out a 2021 or 2021-22 FAFSA form should create an FSA ID as soon as possible. If you're required to provide a parent information on your FAFSA form, your parents should create an FSA ID as well. Because your FSA ID is equivalent to your signature, parent and students each need to create their own FSA ID using their own email address and phone number. Parents should not create an FSA ID for their child and vice versa. If in some situations you may need to wait up, to 3 days for your FSA ID after creating it. That's because of all the process and identifying your person. It does take a little bit longer. We've seen cases of up to 3 days. If you want to avoid any delays in submitting your FAFSA, since priority deadline is October 1st to March 2nd, please create your FSA ID as soon as possible. We're going to go over the FSA ID steps. So the information you will require on this would be your social security number. You can find the number on your social security card. If you don't have access to it and you don't know where it is, ask your parent or legal guardian, or get a new or replacement card by visiting the ssa.gov website for Social Security Administration. If you're not a U.S. citizen but meet federal student aid basic eligibility requirements, you'll also need your alien registration number. Your driver's license number. If you don't have a driver's license, you really don't have to worry about this. Don't put your ID number. It's only your driver's license number if you do have one and possess one as a student. This is what the FSA ID looks like when you actually FAFSA, when you complete your when you start your FAFSA. You're going to be going to this website. It's FAFSA.gov. You're going to click start here if you're starting a new one. If you've already created one and you're making corrections or you're adding a school, you could go ahead and log in on the bottom portion with your ID and password. The information for 2020-21 FAFSA, which is the one that we're currently working on, not the one that just opened as of October 1st, was based on 2018 tax records. The new one that just opened up for 2021-22 academic year, that will be effective next July, but that is already available for you to complete, will be using tax information of 2019. And I'm going to go over the information of the 2018 in case you haven't filled it out, which will also be related to 2019. So on the 2021 FAFSA, you would include parent information as well as your information regarding your 2018 income information. For 2019, the one that just opened up as of October 1st, you would include your parent and your 2019 information. Since you've already filed your 2018 and your 2019, by the time the FAFSA launches, you'll be able to import your tax information into the FAFSA right away using the IRS data retrieval tool. This is called a DRT. This is a perfect way for you to avoid any mistakes that you enter into your FAFSA. I recommend this, highly recommend this, especially for the process of verification. For those of you students that have been selected for verifications, you know that you have to submit documents to our office in order to release any holds or if there's any discrepancy on any of the information. The most common mistakes that we see a lot of students when they're actually importing the information from the tax return into the application is that students will put on the U.S. income tax pay slot the same amount as the adjusted gross income. Yes, these are big words, but it literally says it on the tax form. And it's very common for a student to make the mistake of putting the same amount that they made as their adjusted gross income, their taxed amount, which is not going to be the correct one. And that's going to create an issue on your FAFSA and it's going to be a red flag. So then it'll come into our office and require for us to require additional documents in order to clear your issue or the discrepancy on your file. For 2021-22, not everyone is going to be eligible to use the IRS data retrieval tool. And the IRS data retrieval tool does not input all of the information required on the FAFSA form. Therefore, you should have your 2018 tax returns in case there is additional information that needs to be submitted from the W-2. You cannot use your 2019 tax information on 2018, and you cannot use your 2018 tax information on your 21-22 FAFSA. Some families, we have noticed that some families, the 20 income doesn't accurately reflect their current financial situation. Especially right now with the whole COVID, a lot of families have lost their jobs or are currently on unemployment. You still have to report your income that is reported on your 2019. If you have experienced the reduction in income since 2018 or 2019, you still have to complete the FAFSA based on your 2018 and 2019 return. Then contact each of your school individually and applying for an explain. You would do it's a change of circumstance based on the current situation that you're currently going. There is a situation where we actually give you a form. You complete the form, explain to us your situation of what is going on, and we make those corrections based on your current situation. So it is very important that you do submit the information if you're completing your 21-22 based on your current tax information for 2019. The IRS data retrieval tool is the fastest and more accurate way to import your tax return information into the FAFSA form. To address security and privacy concerns related to the IRS data retrieval tool, the tax return information you transfer from the IRS will not be displayed on the FAFSA.gov or the IRS DRT website. Instead, you'll see the transfer from IRS in the appropriate fields. So when you actually hit it, when you hit use data retrieval tool, when you're on the actual application, it'll say leaving FAFSA website, and it'll take you to the actual IRS website. It'll have you input your information to see if it matches everything that you have. Good tip that I like to give all my students on this is please include the address, if you have the tax return in front of you, exactly as it appears on the tax return. If it is 1819 Sunset Avenue and there's a period after Avenue on the actual tax form, you have to submit it like that. If they're all in capital letters, please make sure you type it all in capital letters. Sometimes the data retrieval is so sensitive that it will not pick up that information if you forget the dot or if you added capitals, or let's say Sunset is capital but Avenue is capital A and lowercase VE. Make sure you type it in that same way because that's the way it's going to match you with the IRS. So it is important you put it exactly as it appears on your actual tax return. Records for untaxed income. The FAFSA question about untaxed income may or may not apply to you. They may include things like child support received, interest income, and veterans non-education benefits. For the 2020-2021 FAFSA form, you will report 2018 tax or calendar year information when asked on these questions. For 2019, which would be 2021-22 FAFSA year, you will also report that information. So let's say you made under the amount that was required for you to file taxes. Let's say you only made $600 for the whole year. You will report not an adjusted gross income as your adjusted gross income, but on your wages earned, you will report those $600. You don't have to put use the data retrieval tool because you did not file, but you will have to put how much in wages you actually earned. And it's also very important for you to have those W-2s available. In case you do get randomly selected for verifications, you will have to submit those W-2s to our office in order to clear any discrepancies on your account. Reconcile your assets and money. In this section, it includes savings, checking account balances, as well as the value of investments such as stocks and bonds and real estate, but not the home in which your family lives. This is very important. A lot of the students think that the asset is the house that they actually live in. That's what the parents have as an asset. That is not an asset since that is still your main home. What would be an asset would be a rental property. Any businesses that your parents might have, that would be assets. Don't include the value of the current house that you are living in. You should report the current amounts as of the date you signed the FAFSA form. So the day you actually complete the FAFSA, let's say your parents had $3,000 in their checking account and savings balance combined, but that was going to be used, and it was in the middle of the month, but that was going to be used for the mortgage for next month. As of the day you completed it, you knew you had $3,000, that your parents had $3,000. That's what you would put. If you were completing your FAFSA, let's say on the 1st, when they actually already paid the mortgage out, and now their account is at $100, you would then complete your FAFSA with only $100 because that money is now used for paying the mortgage. So don't include it. A lot of students I have seen that they will say, well, I know my parents going to get their check and they get X amount, so I'm going to include that money. That is not actual money that you have on the account or that your parents have on their account, or you, let's say you get money every month from your parents as a living money that they give you for you to go through to school. Don't estimate how much you're going to be getting. Put exactly what you have on your account as of that time. If you don't have anything and your account is at a negative, just put a 0. Note, misreporting the value of investment is a common FAFSA mistake. Please carefully review what is and is not considered a student investment and a parent investment to make sure you don't over or underreport. You may be surprised by what can and cannot be excluded. So it is important. And one of the most common mistakes, like I mentioned, that I've seen personally many times is students putting under their parents their assets as the current home value that they live in. So just make sure that you don't put that as the actual assets. The next one is the list of schools you are interested in attending. So this is very important. Be sure to add any colleges you are considering, even if you haven't applied for it or been accepted yet. Even if there is only a slight chance you'll apply to college, list the school on your FAFSA form. You can always remove the school later if you have decided not to apply. But if you wait to at the school, you could miss out on first come, first served financial aid. That's because schools get the FAFSA. Once you've completed your FAFSA, that information is sent out to the school. The priority deadline is very important. A lot of institutions we have federal money, we have state, and we have institutional funds. So a lot of the schools, if the student applies early, does it within the priority deadlines, you get a bucket and an allocated amount of funds that could be actually dispersed within students. They're going to be starting to award student an estimated award right away as soon as they get their application, whether you are going to come or not. we go to what's called census date, and that's when we cancel any students that didn't get admitted into our university, didn't go to our university, or just didn't attend at all. So it is very important that you list the schools that you potentially think you will be attending, just to be on the safe side so that you could get the maximum award with based on your FAFSA application. The schools you listed on your FAFSA form will automatically receive your FAFSA results electronically. They will use your FAFSA information to determine the types and amounts of financial aid you may receive. If you add a school to your FAFSA form and later decide not to apply for admissions to that school, that's okay. The school likely won't offer you aid until you've been accepted anyway. You can list up to 10 schools at any time on your FAFSA form. So you could add community colleges, you could add 4-year because you're still undecided whether you're going to be going to community college or a 4-year university. By all means, go ahead and list, or a private institution, go ahead and list that federal ID that they have so that they could already start getting your FAFSA electronically. With this, we conclude our presentation for today. My name is Veronica Medina. This is my direct contact information, my phone number at the university, and my personal email, my email at work. If you have any questions, you do get, some students get confused on completing the FAFSA, please feel free to email me, and we could schedule a one-on-one Zoom meeting, and I could walk you through step-by-step on completing your FAFSA. It is important that you don't, like I tell the students, don't get nervous, don't get stressed on completing the FAFSA. We're here to help you. Reach out to us either in financial aid, or here's my personal email. Go ahead and send me an email directly to me, and I will go ahead and contact you and schedule a one-to-one Zoom meeting with you, and I will help you and your parent if you guys need the help. By the way, I'm also bilingual, so if any of you require, your parents require Spanish, I could definitely assist you with your parents in completing your FAFSA application.